Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us is Caleb Silver, editor-in-chief over Investopedia. We are going to hear Investopedia readers their top 10 search terms for 2021. Caleb's also going to fill us in on some predictions for 2022. Caleb, it is great to see you as always. I love hearing about the lists and what retail investors are looking for. What were these top 10 terms for the year?
Great to be with you as always. And our readers were all over our site because there were so many interesting, fascinating topics in investing in finance in the past year. But the top 10, there were some serious surprises on there. So coming in at number 10, conservatorship. We can thank Britney Spears for that. Oops, she did it again, getting her estate back from her father after that long conservatorship battle. That brought conservatorship into our top 10. First time I've seen that since I've been here. Number 9, Jill, short interest. You remember those meme stocks popping in the first part of the year in the spring of 2021. Well, that brought short interest into our top 10. Heavy search for a very sustained period of time, and then it kind of went away. But our readers, who are all retail investors, were looking about what short interest was, what short squeezes were. Fascinating for them. Number 8 shouldn't surprise you at all. NFTs, those non-fungible tokens, Jill, super popular in 2021. They had their moment. They are mainstream right now. And our readers were trying to find out what they were and what made them valuable, Jill. So fascinating.
So, Caleb, let me ask you a question about when it comes to NFTs. And of course, you and I have spoken about gifting them in a prior segment. Is it almost like today's version of yesterday's baseball cards? Are you just essentially assigning a value to a piece of software versus a piece of paper?
Yeah, pretty much. But the key about NFTs, I think, are the authenticity in a world of digital unsuredness. So we don't know whether people are faking us, deep faking us, but an NFT, like a cryptocurrency or anything on the blockchain, has that stamp, has that authenticity. It's a one of one. And I think that's what's drawing investors to it and traders to it, because there are limited editions and there's a scarcity value to it, and they're worth whatever the next person thinks they're worth. But right now we've seen a lot of them go up in value. So I think that's what it has something to do with.
All right, let's roll with the list. What came in at number 7?
Number 7 was Dogecoin. Not a surprise there either. Probably the most popular cryptocurrency in terms of what was spoken about, tweeted about out there in the social media verse. We know Elon Musk and Mark Cuban were big fans of it. Dogecoin had an incredible year for returns, up about 1,800%. Don't even ask me about FOMO, but there are a lot of people looking up Dogecoin and what it actually means. Number 6, and this is a perennial favorite, ESG, environmental, social, and governance. That's about ESG investing with your conscience, whether you want it to be about social activism or governance or environment. That's always popular. Number 6 for us. 5 was the child care tax credit. You know, that impacts some 35 million American families, and folks are worried that that might go away in the new year. So a lot of folks searching for that. And number 4, Jill, you're going to love this. HODL, holding on for dear life, big in cryptocurrency, big obviously in meme stocks. Such a popular term that was really an accident, but so popular with our readers, Jill.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because, Caleb, even just 2 years ago, I would imagine that some of these words would not even have been on the list, and it just shows how quick markets and technology is evolving. Whether it's through the technology itself or social media spurring on a lot of these investing trends. I mean, 2 years really does make a big difference. I would imagine NFTs would not be there. I would imagine HODL wouldn't be there either. So it really is amazing to see how fast these lists have evolved.
Absolutely. And it's caused us to do a lot of writing and rewriting of our terms on Investopedia. Let me give you the top 3. Inflation. This was our reader's pick. Not a surprise there either. Really big in the second half of the year, every single month. And I bet you we're going to see that term bouncing around a lot in 2022. Inflation was our reader's pick. Also the number 3 search term on Investopedia for the year. Number 2, Jill, fiat money. Again, cryptocurrency, the emergence of it, what's happening in El Salvador with the legalization of Bitcoin. People are asking, what's the difference between fiat money and legal tender and digital money and cryptocurrency? It's the fundamental question of our time here in the 21st century. And the number 1 term, Jill, for 2021, capital gains tax. I think people were hearing the drumbeat for higher taxes. I think they're also making a lot of money on asset sales, whether they were selling stocks that went up in value, cryptocurrencies, or their homes, which had a huge increase in 2021. Capital gains tax, most popular term every single month of 2021.
So interesting. I mean, that's a blessing or a curse to have to understand what that means, right? I mean, either your assets went up significantly, which is a great thing, but then again, you have to, pay the piper at some point. And Caleb, it's so interesting that this time of year, everybody is putting out prediction lists, and just, thinking about the end of 2019 going into 2020, I don't think there was anyone on the street that could have predicted a pandemic. So I always, I think about it a lot, especially this year, since the pandemic is still relatively fresh in our minds. How do you predict going forward? I mean, the chances of, another 100-year illness or I would imagine, hopefully slim, but how do you even do these predictions anymore? We saw how fast the world changes.
Yeah, it's scary to predict. It's very hard to do that these days, but we can look at what's bubbling right now. Here we are sort of at the end of the year and see where that interest is. And we can also look at seasonality trends. So let's assume that hopefully we don't have more and more variants, but they're probably going to come. But all of those brought a lot of economic uncertainty, a lot of anxiety. So we did see a lot of search around volatility. We saw a lot of search around capitulation as the market's been down here a few percent in the past few weeks. So we've seen that coming, but I think we're also going to see the explosion of more digital terms in the digital verse. Obviously, Meta, Facebook going to Meta, Square going to Block. That's opening up a lot of terms in digital currency, in the crypto world, and in the DeFi world. So DeFi will probably be one of our most popular terms next year. I would expect fiat money to be back in the news as more countries consider legalizing some form of cryptocurrency and the US moves to a digital currency. I would expect that to come around. And I don't think inflation's going anywhere, Jill. I think we're going to see that term a lot in 2022.
Well, here's a prediction I'm confident in. We will see you next year for sure and continue to collaborate on content. Caleb, appreciate it as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.